Hello, ladies. Welcome back to another episode of the Luscious Living podcast. I am so excited to chat with you all about menopause wellness. I'm answering 3 questions that are very common that come up that often have solutions beyond medication, things that you can do at home, but also obviously taking in mind that there is always a time and place for nutrition versus medication versus herbs versus supplements versus practitioners, and you are unique. And I want to remind you that this is not medical advice and to consult with your primary care provider before trying any of these tips, but know that these tips are here to empower you and support your journey. So today I have 3 questions I'm answering. They are to do with brain fog. They are to do with vaginal atrophy. Okay, so, and then I'm also going to be showing you ways that you can impact your gut health, especially if you're struggling with loose bowels or constipation, and just really, really want to support you on that journey as well. Okay. So if you have not met me before, hello, welcome. My name is Celine Bilgin. I am the founder of Luscious Living, where personal growth meets wellness. I'm also a holistic nutritionist, and I specialize in women's hormone health. I have an in-person practice over in Calgary, or I see clients around the world. So we're going to get into a topic that is underserved, a community that is underserved, and that is menopausal women, even perimenopause, postmenopause. But a lot of the time, these issues are not well studied, they're not well recorded, there is not a lot of education on this topic, and I am here to serve, okay? So every woman at every stage of life deserves to feel confident, graceful, healthy, vibrant, and strong. So let's get into our very first question. First question is, I'm suffering really bad with brain fog. Can you give me advice on what help and how you cope with it? First and foremost, brain fog is like a form of torture, I find, because you know that your brain is there, but it's not really working, and it just feels heavy and slow and muzzy and fuzzy. It's an awful feeling, especially if you're feeling it day in, day out, and you're working or just trying to live your best life. And I have solutions, okay? So when it comes to menopause in general, the big aspect of this is to make sure that the adrenal glands and your nervous system are well nourished. And a lot of the time, you've gone through a stressful period of life. Maybe you're going through one now. And the adrenal glands are responsible for producing cortisol, which is your survival or stress hormone. And then you have your sex hormones now that are being produced by the adrenal glands as well. So now you're competing with cortisol and sex hormones. And of course, cortisol is going to keep you surviving. And then all of a sudden you are, the hormones go on the back burner, because if we're looking at survival or reproduction, survival or thriving, the body is meant to help you survive. So that's a good thing. But now what happens is, again, those hormones are in their backseat. So we're talking about estrogen, for example, in this case. Estrogen starts to decline naturally, but especially if you're highly stressed, your adrenals are on overdrive, then you're going to be producing less estrogen, okay? And so the big thing to note is that we have to, and this is relevant for all the other questions we're going to answer today and moving forward, we have to focus on adrenal health, okay? That is absolutely key. And so I have some lifestyle practices, some foods, nutrients, etc., that we're going to focus on. So if we're looking at this step by step, first step when it comes to brain fog is going to be nourish the adrenals. How do we do that? So glad you asked. Okay, so we will need healthy fats for the adrenal glands. So healthy fats are going to be foods that are like sardines, walnuts, chia seeds, mackerel. If you have a good quality cheese, which is why you actually crave cheese and ice cream when you're omega-3 deficient, is because you actually need more of it. So we're looking at omega-3 rich foods. This is absolutely key. If you're not supplementing with a cod liver oil versus just like an omega-3 that you get from Costco or Shoppers Drug Mart, I highly recommend it. I do have my favorites below that's linked. Feel free to send me a message. everyone is so different, so everything is going to be different based off of what you need. So healthy fats, again, avocados as well, olives, all of that, and you definitely need to be having these good fats. We also need a good amount of vitamin C. Vitamin C is going to nourish the adrenal glands. I see a lot of people supplementing with this, and I don't think it's necessary. Truly, if you have vitamin C rich fruits such as kiwis, cherries, lemons, grapefruit, limes, and then if you have broccoli and bell peppers, these kinds of foods, that will help you with your vitamin C level. So you don't need to go and buy a supplement unless you're traveling a lot, okay? Then the other big thing of this is that you want to be avoiding blood sugar swings, meaning you are skipping a meal, and then when you are eating, maybe you're having a muffin, and then later on you're of course with blood sugar swings, you're craving something else. So you might have some candy or chocolate or a sugary coffee, maybe it's like a Tim Hortons run, and then you come home and maybe you have something healthier, but you're finding yourself feeling tired but wired and always craving sugar, irritable between meals, etc. So we want to be making sure you are balancing blood sugar by having protein at each meal. This could look like Greek yogurt, this could look like a protein smoothie, it could look like chickpeas, it could look like eggs. Having protein with each meal is going to keep blood sugar stable, and you will find yourself craving less sugar, and that will actually help with any weight gain that you might have experienced at this phase as well. So we have healthy fats, vitamin C, blood sugar swings. Then there are some herbs that can also help with the adrenals. And again, this is meant to be as entertainment. And so everyone is so different. Please don't go and buy a random supplement because you heard it from this podcast, because not everyone is going to need or fit these certain herbs, okay? So a really good herb to help the adrenals, not if you are in severe depletion, however, is ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is wonderful for the adrenal glands, as is phosphatidylserine, as is rhodiola. Okay, so those are lovely herbs. They're usually gentle, but again, if you have any kind of condition, you are working with pharmaceuticals, those I would not just blindly take any of these supplements that you've heard today, okay? Big one to focus on for most people, healthy fats, vitamin C, avoiding blood sugar swings, and that alone is life-changing for a lot of people, okay? Then we also want to support the nervous system. And the nervous system is going to require calcium and potassium for the electrical impulses generated and transmitted by nerves, okay? And so think about when someone says like, oh, this person's getting on my nerves. It's like you just feel like you're on edge. So we want to soothe that side, okay? And really working on the nervous system and the adrenal system is going to really start to help with brain function, therefore brain fog. So bananas, oranges, pomegranates, or prunes are good sources of potassium. And then we have leafy greens and eggs that are really great sources of calcium. So you want to be making sure you're nourishing yourself properly for this phase as well for the nervous system. We also need B vitamins to help send nerve impulses from the brain to the body. So vitamins B1, B2, B6, B12 specifically will help. And you can find, thankfully, a lot of these foods in things like chickpeas, fish, lentils, green peas, pork, yogurt, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, etc. So I want you to be incorporating these foods that you already like into your diet, and you'll notice that slowly, you'll start to feel more and more calm and steady, okay? Oat straw tea is a lovely, gentle herb that you can use, again, as a tea that's going to soothe the nervous system. I personally use this and I love it. And working with a herbalist can actually show you your perfect herbal match based off of if you're more of a worrier, if you find yourself a bit more like spiky and on edge, whether you tend to take on other people's problems, whether you are getting insomnia due to digestive issues, etc. Okay? So for brain fog, then we also want to look at what you want to take out. And the biggest contributors to brain fog and fuzzy feelings in your brain are going to be cold foods like ice cream, lots of smoothies, lots of raw cold salads, lots of iced drinks. Also anything high in sugar. So this is going to be muffins, juices, pastas, breads, salad dressings, even like the raspberry flavored ones. It's actually crazy how much sugar is in a lot of those kinds of foods, even flavored yogurts. So you want to be either having plain versions of, say, oatmeal and yogurt. Maybe you can switch your salad dressing to lemon juice, olive oil, salt, and pepper. That's what I do. I love it. You want to start reducing sugar, as well as lots of the time dairy products, ice creams, cream in your milk. And to be honest, usually I find that heavy cream works better for a lot of people over like skim milk or 1%. But again, ice creams, dairies, cheeses, that can also just slow you down. And for some people, having food intolerances to gluten found in wheat products can also really just make you feel muffled. So if you start to add in some of those foods and lifestyle practices for the adrenal glands, for the nervous system, and you start to take out these other foods I just mentioned, that alone can do wonders, and it does do wonders for most women that I see. Then you also want to nourish your gut, because I want you to be thinking about the gut and the brain together. So likely if you have brain fog, there's probably a bit of gut health issues, either sluggishness with bowel movements, maybe you're getting a bit of bloating. And so I want you to have lots of water intake. Most people I see on a daily basis are dehydrated. They don't even realize. And the biggest way to tell is looking at your urine, and a lot of people forget. I love to sip on those herbal teas, such as chamomile. You got your oat straw, dandelion root, whatever it is. And you want to be sipping on either herbal teas or water throughout the day. That fluid intake is absolutely key for brain fog. Then also having warm cooked vegetables, especially root vegetables, are really, really good. So sweet potatoes, yams, potatoes, for example, really nourishing and easy to digest. Same with pumpkins and squashes. Same with easy to digest grains, if you tolerate grains, brown rice, quinoa, amaranth, etc. And having nourishing broths, bone broth, chicken broth, that kind of thing. That's all going to do wonders for any bit of brain fog. And that is going to help with mental health, because I know when I've struggled with brain fog, it mentally affects me more than anything else I find, okay? So make sure you take on some of these things, looking at those B vitamins, looking at the oat straw tea, looking at those calcium, potassium, healthy fats, vitamin C, blood sugar swings, potentially some of those supplements as well. And another really, really big one that can help is acupuncture. Find a good acupuncturist where you live, and they can tell so much about you through your pulse, through your tongue, through your symptoms. And a lot of the time, the feelings that you're experiencing is not from a lack of medication, but more from an imbalance in your body. And you just have to send the right signals to your body through food, through movement, breathing exercises, acupuncture. Okay. I didn't really touch on breathing exercises here because I wanted to directly impact your brain fog, but sometimes just going for a long walk by some trees, by a park, can also do wonders. You want to let go of that heavy lethargic feeling in your body and just go out. And sometimes having even something spicy can also help cut through that muzziness in the brain. Okay. All right. Question number 2. Postmenopause has not been kind to me. I have some strange thing called Lichen Sclerosis. Vulvovaginal atrophy is horrible. So obviously it's one thing to start to go through menopause symptoms, another one where you're like, oh my gosh, this is really affecting my quality of life. And so I really want to make sure that we have some concrete solutions. Again, I don't know much about you. I'm creating this video hoping that it will touch your heart and help you find a solution, but know that this is just the surface, okay? But here are some things that you can look at. First and foremost, the traditional treatment for this condition is corticosteroids, okay? So topical cream that you put on, and It can help provide relief, absolutely. The big thing is that over time, it can lead to the thinning of the skin, which can then create more of that same issue or worse. And it's not really a long-term solution. It's a band-aid solution, which I get that sometimes we have to do. So we want to look at why are you experiencing this? And based off of my background with both a Chinese medicine perspective and a Western perspective, I'm going to give you reasons for both and the foods and lifestyle practices that you can do. So first and foremost, addressing hormone imbalances. I always recommend getting some kind of hormonal testing if you're experiencing something like this. My favorite one is the Dutch test. And you essentially do a saliva test and it checks your estrogen, the 3 different types of estrogen, and your thyroid levels, your testosterone levels, all of that. Super helpful. And a lot of time people get those results and they don't really get a lot of help on what to do with it. So I love actually helping clients to look through their blood work, look through their Dutch test and show you, okay, here's what you need to do in terms of food, in terms of supplements to help, okay? So usually in this case, estrogen will be low. I mean, the kind of estrogen that we want will be low, essentially, okay? And so what we need to do is to support the adrenals and the nervous system first and foremost. We need to be supporting the liver, which will come in a moment. But we also, if estrogen, the kind of estrogen we want, is low, then we need to actually look at what are some foods that are high in phytoestrogens, meaning foods that contain estrogen-like compounds to help, okay? So flax seeds, for example, is one of those. Soybeans, edamame, sesame seeds. Really wonderful, okay? Some supplements, again, this is so individual. I do not recommend taking a random supplement from a YouTube video or a podcast episode. However, black cohosh can be very useful in this case, same with wild yam. Okay, this is all going to depend on you and your needs. Then also we want to look at addressing inflammation, which is anything that is, causing redness or inflammation in the skin is also from an internal inflammation. So natural ways to combat inflammation are going to be high doses of omega-3, so fish oil or cod liver oil is my favorite. We can look at curcumin, okay, or quercetin. So curcumin is the active compound in turmeric. Then we also look at quercetin, which is an anti-inflammatory, antihistamine. We also want, on a dietary level, to have lots of fresh leafy greens, lots more than you think. Lots of spinach and salads and watermelons, melons, tomatoes, cucumbers, fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, because anything with color is going to help decrease inflammation, okay? And then I also want you to, again, similar to the first point, is to remove any food triggers that can contribute to inflammation, such as for some people, dairy, gluten for some people, soy for some people. And this is why it's important to work with a health practitioner who can actually tell, okay, are you sensitive to this? Do you need to order testing? Do you not? Okay, because some of this information, of course, can conflict. Okay, so that's actually going to be really, really important. Then on a Chinese medicine perspective, there's almost too much heat in the body and there's too much dampness, they call it, okay? And so it's almost similar to that first point about brain fog. Maybe there's a bit of muzziness in the brain, maybe some muscle fatigue, a low energy, maybe lack of appetite as well. So these things together, I want you to really focus on the liver, and this is at any stage of menopause. This is for everyone with hormones, okay? I want you to focus on the liver. The liver is going to need foods like dandelion leaves, dandelion roots, great tea to have. You can have lots of cruciferous vegetables, which work directly on the liver to support liver health. So these are going to be your broccolis, your kales, your cauliflower, your bok choy, your Brussels sprouts, okay? That's key. Enough water intake is key. Anything green, stocky, fibrous, celery, asparagus, kale, etc. Okay, so those are going to be key. I want you to have these foods with every single meal, and you'll start to notice a difference over time. But the big one is estrogen. And one other thing that can also impact your low estrogen levels is if you're taking a medication that lowers your triglycerides. So you're on a blood, like a statin. Okay. So here's the thing, you need cholesterol. That's the word I was looking for. You need cholesterol to produce your sex hormones. And if you're on a medication that lowers your cholesterol, then you're not going to be producing enough sex hormones as well. Okay. So there's a lot of debate in that area, but you do want to have healthy levels of cholesterol, and that's going to also impact your ability to have enough hormones. And again, one of the building blocks, your liver naturally produces cholesterol, but you also need to have healthy fats and decreasing the bad fats found in packaged foods, found in fast foods, etc. Okay. All right. Number 3, what do I do about stomach acid and loose bowels? Okay. And so the key here is to know we all lose stomach acid as we age. It's a part of the human aging process. But we also want to look at how do we support that stomach acid. And by the way, let me even backtrack. A lot of the time, people who have acid reflux, sour stomachs, etc., think it's because of too much stomach acid. And that is what the conventional literature will say. However, if you actually increase stomach acid, you will not have stomach acid issues anymore. Okay. And that's just one of those things that from experience, from clinical experience, I have seen you have to actually increase stomach acid. Okay. Then there's also issues of ulcers, and that's a whole other story. But if you have symptoms of low stomach acid, we actually need to increase stomach acid and digest your food properly. So we can do that by increasing a little bit of apple cider vinegar before you eat a meal. You can look at a digestive enzyme temporarily, but we don't want to rely on that. You also want to make sure that you are eating in an environment where you're not running around, because if you're in fight or flight, cortisol is high, you're actually not going to be setting yourself up physiologically to digest your food as well. Okay. Then there is also foods that really impact the stomach in a negative way and will get you to have loose bowels. These kinds of foods can be milk for a lot of people, and they don't realize it. What you want to do is just try not having milk in your tea or coffee for 3 days and see how you feel. Most people end up feeling significantly better. Then there's foods like shredded cheese that can really impact digestion as well. Artificial sugars impact digestion, so diet soda, sucralose in protein bars, in protein powders, things like this. Those all can actually negatively impact how you digest food as well. Okay, so you want to be making sure that you are adding the right foods to digest. Okay, so apple cider vinegar, you might have some lemon before and some water. You want to be eating the right kinds of foods that your stomach actually recognizes. Lots of lean, leafy vegetables, easy to digest foods like we talked about, but also starting to eliminate those foods like milk, shredded cheese, artificial sugars, gluten for a lot of people. That will also really help. Okay. So we've talked about digestive issues, stomach acid, loose bowels. We've talked about lichen sclerosis, and we've talked about how to deal with brain fog and how to cope with it. Okay. So if you have any questions for me, please let me know in the comments below or send me a message on Instagram. I want to make sure that more women are feeling empowered and excited about this new phase of their journey. And the best way to do that is through really knowing how to read your body, knowing the best foods for your body, and really knowing that you're on the right path. Okay. So can't wait to see you next week. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Bye.